Yo, what's up gamers? So, I only came to the break room because it's been a few days since the Nintendo Direct. The coffee machine finally decided to cooperate, and people are still debating whether anything important actually happened. For the record, Nintendo dropped a partner showcase, not a full direct. It was roughly around 30 minutes long, third party only, and a lot more packed into it than most people realized on first watch. No first party reveals yet, no dramatic countdown, just a rapid fire roadmap of games coming to Nintendo Switch and Switch 2 over the next year. We got announced ports, upgrades, demos, and a few quiet shadow drops that absolutely flew under the radar. So if this feels like news you somehow missed, you didn't miss it. This direct was a slow burn. But before the break room turns into full weight, that was announced energy. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and tell me in the comments down below. Did you catch the direct when it aired, or are you just now putting the pieces together? Alright, let's grab a mop and let's break down everything Nintendo announced this direct. Starting with a true shadow drop, Hollow Knight Nintendo Switch 2 Edition is available right now. If you've never played it, this is a hand-drawn Metroidvania about exploring the fallen insect kingdom of Hollow Nest, a quiet ruined world full of secrets, hostile creatures, and lore that refuses to explain itself out loud. You're mapping twisting tunnels, unlocking new movement abilities, learning enemy patterns, and fighting brutal boss encounters that demand precision, patience, and timing. The Switch 2 edition sharpens everything, smoother performance, cleaner visuals, faster loading, so combat feels tighter and exploration flows better. And if you already own the game, it's a free upgrade. No rebuy, no nonsense, just disappear into Hollow Nest again, or for the first time. Next up, another shadow drop. Super Bomberman Collection is available right now. This is a full-on retro package packed with multiple classic Bomberman games, bringing back that pure arcade chaos where everything is simple, fast, and incredibly dangerous to friendships. You're running grid-based arenas, dropping bombs, trapping opponents, grabbing power-ups, and absolutely misjudging blast radius at least once per round. The big bonus here, this collection includes previously unreleased Bomberman entries that never officially made it out before, meaning even longtime fans are getting something new. It's quick matches, instant fun, couch co-op friendly, and that kind of game that turns one round into an hour without warning. Old school rules, explosive mistakes, the break room safe until the yelling starts. Next up, Console Archives and Arcade Archives 2. This one matters more than it looks. This is a brand new classic re-release line from Hamster Corporation, the same folks behind Arcade Archives, except this time they're focusing on home console games, not arcade cabinets. Think of it as a modern successor to the old Virtual Console era, and a visually approachable classics from the 8-bit through 32-bit generations, rebuilt for modern systems with save states, rewind, button remapping, and visual filters. The launch lineup starts strong with games like Ninja Gaiden 2 and Cold Borders, and more titles already confirmed across NES, PlayStation, and Saturn era releases. So what's the big deal? These aren't tied to a subscription. You buy what you want, keep it forever, and Hamster plans to roll all these out steadily over time, not all at once. Slow drip, deep cuts, actual ownership, this is retro cleanup done right. Available now, PGA TOUR 2K25 tees up on Nintendo hardware. This is a full-on golf sim built around precision, maintenance, and course management. Now arcade nonsense. You're reading greens, accounting for wind, adjusting swing tempo, and deciding whether to play it safe or absolutely ruin your round by going for it. Career mode lets you build a pro from the ground up. Online play brings competitive pressure, and the course editor crowd is already plotting crimes against fairway design. It's calm on the surface, but one bad swing can spiral fast, like freshly mopped floors meeting wet shoes, and that's no bueno for me. Landing on February 11th, Tokyo Scramble, built with Nintendo Switch 2 front and center. This is survival horror set in a modern Tokyo that has gone deeply wrong. You're navigating tight urban spaces, abandoned streets, and interiors that feel just a little too quiet, managing limited resources while something unseen keeps pressing closer. Combat is scarce, avoidance, timing, and decision-making matter more than fighting back. Every wrong turn costs you time, safety, or supplies, sometimes all three. It leans into tension over spectacle, using atmosphere, sound design, and claustrophobic layouts to keep you constantly on edge. No power fantasy here, just survival. This is the kind of horror where you pause before opening doors, like checking a dark hallway after the lights flicker. Landing on February 13th, REANIMAL, the next nightmare from Tarsier Studios. If that studio name sounds familiar, it's because these are the minds behind Little Nightmares. And yeah, the vibes are back. REANIMAL is a dark, unsettling horror game built around disturbing creature design, heavy atmosphere, and the kind of silence that makes you stop moving altogether. You're navigating hostile environments where everything feels slightly wrong. Twisted animals, wrapped spaces, and threats that don't always explain themselves. It's less about jumping scares and more about sustained dread, where the fear creeps in and refuses to leave. Expect slow pacing, deliberate movement, and moments where the safest option is doing absolutely nothing. No power trips, no comfort. This is horror that watches you watch it. The kind that makes February feel colder than it already is. Arriving February 18th, Star Trek Voyager Across the Unknown. This is a story-driven sci-fi adventure set in the Voyager era of Star Trek. Focused less on combat and more on exploration, diplomacy, and problem solving under pressure. You're guiding the crew through uncharted space, making decisions that affect morale, alliances, and how your ship survives far from Federation support. Gameplay leans into classic Star Trek tension, managing limited resources, navigating unknown anomalies, dealing with first contact scenarios, and choosing whether to talk, negotiate, or risk things going very wrong. Combat exists, but it's not the point. Thinking like a captain is. Every mission feels like an episode. Setup, complication, moral dilemma, consequences. And the choices you make don't just resolve problems, they reshape the journey. Ending February 19th, Paranormasight, The Mermaid's Curse. This is a narrative-driven horror mystery and a follow-up to the cult hit Paranormasight. You're investigating a string of supernatural incidents tied to an old urban legend, The Mermaid's Curse, where rumors, rituals, and grudges have a habit of turning lethal. Gameplay is all about choices, perspective shifts, and psychological pressure. You're jumping between characters, piecing together timelines, interrogating suspects, and making decisions that can absolutely get people killed, sometimes immediately. There's minimal hand-holding here. You're reading between lines, catching contradictions, and realizing too late that you trusted the wrong person. Though horror isn't loud, it's tense conversations, cursed knowledge, and that sinking feeling when the screen fades, you know you messed up. Landing February 24th, Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition. This is Bethesda's open-world RPG classic, upgraded and rolled back out for modern hardware. Radioactive ruins, moral gray zones, and an unhealthy amount of duct tape included. You're the sole survivor crawling out of Vault 111 into a post-nuclear Boston where everything is broken, hostile, and asking you for help in the worst possible way. Exploration is the core loop here, scavenging abandoned buildings, managing resources, building settlements from literal trash, and deciding which factions deserve your time, if any. Combat blends gunplay, VATS, which is a slow-motion targeting system, and improvisation when things inevitably go wrong. And with the Anniversary Edition, you're getting bundled content and quality-of-life updates that make this the cleanest way to replay or fully experience Fallout 4. It's massive, it's messy, and it'll absolutely turn I'll just do one quest into an entire lost evening. Post-apocalyptic cleanup never ends, it just glows. Rolling in on February 26th, Arcade Archives Rave Racer. This is a pure arcade throwback. Namco's classic 3D racer from the mid-90s rebuilt for modern consoles, but still running on that quarter-hungry arcade DNA. You're not turning cars or grinding licenses here. You pick a vehicle, hit the gas, and chase lap times through wide, colorful tracks designed for speed, drifting, and spectacle. Handling is loose, forgiving, and all about momentum, the kind of racing where style matters just as much as winning. The Arcade Archives release keep it authentic, but add modern comforts like save states, display options, and score tracking, so you can play it like it's 1995 without actually losing your allowance. Short races, instant feedback, timeless vibes. This is racing as a quick break, finish a lap, wipe the floor, then move on. Closing out February on February 27th, Resident Evil Requiem. This is the next mainline chapter in Resident Evil, and it's leaning hard into tension, atmosphere, and slow building dread instead of non-stop action. You're exploring hostile environments where resources are limited, danger is constant, and every hallway feels like a bad decision waiting to happen. Expect classic survival horror pacing, careful exploration, puzzle solving, inventory stress, and enemies that punish sloppy movement. Combat isn't about power, it's about survival. Knowing when to fight, when to run, and when to quietly shut a door and hope nothing follows you. The timing here is intentional. This lands right after Village made the rounds on subscriptions, setting the stage for Capcom's next era of horror. Lights off, headphones on. This is the kind of game that makes the break room feel unsafe after midnight. Landing on March 3rd, Scott Pilgrim EX. This is a brand new beat 'em up set in the brand new beat 'em up set in the Scott Pilgrim universe, and it's not just a re-release or a remix. This is a full sequel-style brawler built around fast combos, co-op chaos, and that signature pixel art attitude. You're punching, juggling enemies, chaining specials, and clearing screens the old-school way, but with modern polish, smoother animations, and tighter combat flow. Expect couch co-op energy, chaotic group fights, and that classic just one more stage spiral. The humor's still loud, the music still slaps, and every fight feels like cleaning the same hallway again because someone definitely tracked dirt back in. Landing on March 13th, Monster Hunter Stories 3, Twisted Reflection. This is the RPG side of Monster Hunter, not about precision hunting, but about bonding. You play as a rider, hatching monsters, raising them from eggs, and fighting alongside them in turn-based battles instead of carving them up. Combat is all about elemental matchups, team synergy, and knowing when to swap tactics mid-fight. Your monsters level up, unlock abilities, and evolve based on how you raise them, meaning no two teams end up the same. This entry leans harder into story too, with themes of fractured religions, corrupted monsters, and reflections of choice coming back to bite you later. Less grind, more narrative momentum. It's colorful, approachable, and surprisingly deep. The kind of game that turns Monster Hunter into a long-form adventure instead of a checklist. Also landing on March 13th, WWE 2K26. This is the yearly wrestling sandbox turned for spectacle and chaos. You're jumping into exhibition matches, universe mode rivalries, my GM power plays, and career arcs where storytelling matter just as much as button timing. Gameplay leans into momentum, chaining strikes, reversals, finishers, and crowd pops until the match turns to a full-blown highlight reel. Create a wrestler and create an arena return, meaning half the fun is building absolute nonsense and letting it headline WrestleMania. Expect updated rosters, tweaked animations, smoother transitions, and that familiar loop of one more match turning into a full card. This isn't about realism, it's about drama. Big entrances, big moves, bigger egos. Arriving March 18th, Shadow Tactics Blades of the Shogun. This is a hardcore tactical stealth set in Edo period Japan, where every move is planned, every mistake is fatal, and combat is absolutely the last resort. You're controlling a small squad of specialists, which include ninjas, samurai, and spies, each with unique tools like shuriken, traps, disguises, and distractions. Levels are big, open sandboxes packed with guards, sight lines, and patrol routes. Success comes from pausing time, syncing actions, and executing perfect plans, dropping enemies silently, hiding bodies, and slipping away without a trace. There's no button mashing here, this is patience, positioning, and precision. It's slow, methodical, and incredibly satisfying when a plan comes together. The kind of game where clearing a single room feels like finishing an entire shift without anyone noticing you were there. Landing March 25th, Disney Dreamlight Valley, Switch 2 Edition. This is a cozy life sim adventure set in the shared world of classic Disney and Pixar characters. You're rebuilding the Dreamlight Valley after a magical disaster, restoring biomes, decorating your village, farming, fishing, cooking, and helping characters like Mickey, Moana, Elsa, and Wally work through their storylines. The Switch 2 edition is all about polished, smoother performance, sharper visuals, and faster load times, which matters when this game is basically a comfort routine. Log in, do your dailies, clean up the valley, redecorate your home for the 5th time, then repeat. There's no pressure here, no fail states, just vibes, quests, and constant one more thing before bed energy. This is the digital equivalent of tidying up the break room after hours. Quiet, satisfying, and surprisingly hard to stop once you start. Landing April 1st, Goat Simulator 3. Yes, it's still exactly what you think it is. You're a goat in a giant open sandbox, causing problems on purpose. You're headbutting people, breaking physics, licking objects that absolutely should not be licked, and unlocking ridiculous gear that makes things even worse. Cars explode, NPCs panic, gravity occasionally resigns. There are missions here, technically, but the real goal is experimentation, chaos, and seeing how far the game lets you push before it breaks, which is part of the joke. Co-op returns too, so you and your friends can coordinate nonsense together like a disaster response team that chooses violence. This is not a sit-up straight game. This is the controller sideways laughing at your screen type of game. Landing on April 24th, Pragmata. This is Capcom's long-awaited sci-fi action game, and yeah, it's almost here. You play as an astronaut stranded on a desolate lunar research facility, paired with a mysterious android girl named Diana. Combat blends third-person shooting with hacking mechanics, where you pause mid-fight to break enemy defenses before unloading damage. It's methodical, it's tactical, and it rewards thinking under pressure instead of just spraying bullets. The tone is quiet, lonely, and unsettling. Abandoned labs, broken machines, and questions about what actually went wrong up here. Story, atmosphere, and mechanics are tightly intertwined. This isn't fast chaos, this is controlled tension. Pragmata feels like Capcom saying, slow down, pay attention, game the mess carefully or it's gonna get worse. Landing May 12th, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. This is a globe-trotting, story-driven action-adventure that puts you directly in Indy's boots. Fedora, whip and all. Set between Raiders and Last Crusade, you're chasing an ancient mystery tied to sites around the world that form a mysterious Great Circle. Gameplay leans hard into exploration and puzzle solving. You're sneaking through ruins, deciphering ancient symbols, and using the whip not just as a weapon, but as a traversal tool, swinging gaps, disarming enemies, and creating openings. Combat exists, but it's not the point. This is about brains first, fists seconds, solving problems like an archaeologist, not a superhero. It's cinematic, deliberate, and built around curiosity. The kind of game where stopping to read a dusty note actually matters. Arriving May 22nd, Tales of Arise, Beyond the Dawn Edition. This is the complete version of Tales of Arise, the acclaimed JRPG bundled with its major story expansion, Beyond the Dawn. You're stepping into a high fantasy sci-fi world recovering after revolution. The expansion focuses on what happens after the big victory, political fallout, personal consequences, and wounds that don't magically heal just because the credits rolled. Combat is fast, flashy, and real-time. You're chaining arts, swapping party members on the fly, and juggling enemies with stylish precision while managing cooldowns and positioning. But the heart of the game is its characters, relationships, trauma, rebuilding trust, all front and center. This isn't a victory lap, it's the cleanup phase after saving the world. Landing on June 3rd, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. This is the second chapter of Square Enix's ambitious Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy, and it's where everything opens up. The party lives in Midgar and steps into a massive world filled with open regions and consequences that do not follow the original script beat for beat. Combat blends real-time action with tactical commands. You're swapping characters mid-fight, chaining abilities, managing ATB gauges, and adapting on the fly. Flashy, fast, but still strategic. Story-wise, this is where things get dangerous. Familiar characters, altered timelines, new mysteries, and twists that keep longtime fans guessing. It's cinematic, it's emotional, and it's huge, the kind of RPG that quietly takes over your entire month. Arriving June 18th, The Adventures of Elliot, The Millennium Tales. This is a story-driven action RPG built around time, legacy, and long-spanning consequences. You play as Elliot, a traveler whose journey stretches across eras, revisiting locations centuries apart and watching how your past actions reshape the future. Gameplay mixes exploration, real-time combat, and light puzzle solving. You're uncovering ruins, fighting corrupted threats, and piecing together a narrative that slowly reveals how everything connects. The hook is scale. Civilizations rise, fall, and change around you, and you're the constant thread. Landing on July 9th, Granblue Fantasy Relink Endless Ragnarok. This is a massive new expansion for Relink, pushing the endgame into full chaos mode. You're diving into high difficulty hunts, new story chapters, and raid-style encounters built for coordinated co-op. Combat stays fast and flashy, real-time action, skill rotations, ultimate attacks, and party synergy doing the heavy lifting. Every character still plays wildly different, so team composition actually matters. Endless Ragnarok leans hard into escalation, bigger bosses, harder mechanics, less forgiveness. If Relink was your comfort RPG, this is where it stops being polite and starts demanding mastery. Dropping July 10th, Digimon Story Time Stranger. This is a full-scale Digimon RPG built around time travel, alternate timelines, and choices that ripple across different eras. You're recruiting, training, and evolving Digimon across branching paths, not just grinding stats, but shaping how your team develops and what forms they unlock. Combat is classic turn-based strategy. Type mashup matters, party balance matters, and careless decisions will absolutely get your squad wiped. Story-wise, this one goes darker than expected. Parallel worlds collapsing, moral choices, and consequences that don't reset. Arriving July 16th, Culdcept begins. This is the revival of cult classic strategy series that blends deck building with board game tactics. Think Monopoly meets Magic, but everyone is smarter and way more vindictive. You're building a custom deck of creatures, spells, and land effects, then move around a board trying to control territory and bankrupt your opponents. Every match is part planning, part chaos. Bad draws hurt, good reads win games. It's slow, cerebral, and absolutely ruthless once players know what they're doing. If you enjoy strategy games where victory comes from outthinking people instead of outclicking them, Culdcept Begins is a deep-cut combat worth watching. Landing in summer 2026, Orbitals. This is a sci-fi co-op adventure built around physics, teamwork, and surviving in unstable orbital environments. You and your crew are navigating shattered space stations, drifting debris fields, and hostile anomalies where gravity is optional and mistakes are permanent. Movement is the hook here. Momentum matters, positioning matters. One bad push can send you floating into the void while your friends argue about whose fault it was. You're solving environmental puzzles, scavenging resources, managing oxygen, and trying to stay alive long enough to escape each mission. Orbitals feel like space cleanup under pressure, slow, tense, and chaotic in exactly the right ways. Perfect if you like co-op games where communication matters more than reflexes. Also hitting summer 2026, Kyoto Xanadu. This is a stylish RPG set in the modern meets mystical version of Kyoto, blending urban exploration with supernatural combat. You're playing as students caught between everyday life and hidden otherworldly threats, balancing story, relationships, and dungeon-style action sequences. Combat is fast and combo-driven. Dodging, chaining attacks, swapping abilities, very hands-on, very momentum-based. Between fights, it slows down. Character moments, world building, slice of life energy before everything goes sideways again. If you like action RPGs with anime flair, strong atmosphere, and a focus on characters as much as combat, Kyoto Xanadu looks like a sleeper hit waiting to wake up. Rounding out summer 2026, eFootball Kickoff. This is Konami's latest push to reboot eFootball with a cleaner entry point and a renewed focus on accessibility. You're getting quick matches, updated teams, refined controls, and a structure built for jumping in without studying a menu for 20 minutes first. Gameplay leans more responsive this time, tighter passing, smoother dribbling, and less fighting the controls. It's clearly aimed at getting lapsed players back in, while still supporting competitive play and live updates. Not a total reinvention, but very much a reset. If you've bounced off eFootball before and thought, I just want to play soccer, this might actually be the version that lets you do exactly that. Landing sometime in 2026, Valheim. This is the Viking survival sandbox that quietly consumed millions of hours, now making its way onto Nintendo hardware. You're dropped into a mythic afterlife inspired by Norse legend, starting with nothing and slowly building everything. Chop trees, build shelters, craft gear, sail into the unknown and fight gods that absolutely do not care if you're ready. Preparation matters more than reflexes, and every biome feels like a new shift with new hazards waiting to ruin your day. Solo, it's peaceful and punishing. With friends, it's organized chaos and long-term projects. Valheim isn't about rushing to the end, it's about surviving long enough to feel proud of what you built. Also coming in 2026, The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered for Nintendo. This is the full remastered Bethesda's classic open-world RPG, the game that defined a generation of fantasy sandboxes. You're exploring Cyrodiil, joining guards, closing Oblivion gates, and accidentally becoming the head of every organization you walk into. Expect modern upgrades such as cleaner visuals, smoother performance, and quality of life improvements without losing the weird charm. Yes, the NPCs still feel slightly unhinged. Yes, the side quests still steal the show. And yes, you'll still wander off for 5 hours instead of doing the main story. Oblivion Remastered is pure one more quest energy, the kind of game that turns a quick session into an all-night shift. Arriving in 2026, Captain Tsubasa 2 World Fighters. This is not realistic soccer, this is anime soccer. where physics clocks out and passion takes over. You're pulling off absurd super shots, cinematic tackles, and dramatic last-second goals that feel ripped straight from the show. Matches are fast, flashy, and built around momentum swings instead of strict simulation. Every play feels like a highlight reel. It's competitive, over the top, and way more about spectacle than realism. If you want sports energy without rulebooks and stat spreadsheets, Captain Tsubasa is all flair and no subtlety, and that's exactly the point. Drifting in summer 2026, another Eden begins. This is a new entry and fresh starting point for the Another Eden universe, built around classic JRPG storytelling and time-traveling adventure. You're moving across eras, gathering party members, unraveling a long-form narrative, and fighting turn-based battles that lean more strategic than flashy. Exploration is steady, story comes first, and progression is designed for long sessions instead of quick bursts. It's calm, methodical, and character-driven, the kind of game you sink into quietly while the rest of the break room argues about frame rates. Another Eden Begins feels like a deliberate reset, welcoming for newcomers, comforting for longtime fans. Stalking its way in fall 2026, Turok Origins. This is a full reboot of the classic Dino Hunting series. Modern tech, modern scale, same core fantasy. You versus the planet that actively wants you extinct. You're exploring hostile alien worlds packed with dinosaurs, monstrous wildlife, and high-tech threats, using a mix of brutal firearms and survival instincts. Combat is fast and aggressive, exploration matters, and encounters feel dangerous instead of disposable. It's less arcade nostalgia, more cinematic hunt. The kind of game where every expedition feels like stepping into an uncharted mess and hoping your gear holds. If you've ever wanted Jurassic Park energy with a bigger gun budget, Turok Origins is aiming straight at that. So yeah, that Nintendo Direct didn't come in loud, it absolutely came in heavy. No first-party fireworks, no Mario announcement, and somehow it's still stacked. We got big ports, smart remasters, surprise shadow drops, and a very clear message that Switch 2 has momentum, even when Nintendo lets the partners cook. This wasn't about making sure we let our hype screams, this is about filling the calendar and making sure there's always something in your Nintendo cart. Well, that's all I have. I gotta bounce. The Breakroom TV is stuck replaying trailers on loop, and someone decided to argue with the paused frame of Fallout 4 like it owes them money. But before I go, do me a favor, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and tell me in the comments which reveal sold you the hardest, and which one caught you off guard. This is Scruffy the Janitor signing off. Peace out.